All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Parks and Public Works Committee to order. Let's see, roll call. You got everybody online. So let's go right to agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to say about the agenda today? I would like to propose a couple of very small changes. I'd like to move community center expansion open house update to the top of our discussion and follow that with the solid waste contract update. There's some time sensitive stuff in there that we need to make sure we have time to talk about. Can I get a second?
Second.
You good with that, Councilmember Cotton?
Yes, I am.
All right, then well, let's proceed with public comment. Is there anybody online? Nobody in here. Is there anybody online wanting to make public comment?
No one's raising their hand.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's move on to the approval of the minutes. Any problems with the minutes?
No comments or revisions.
Okay. Councilmember
I make a
Cotton?
motion that we approve them.
Second.
All right, they're approved. No agenda bills, so let's move on to discussion. Community center expansion open house update.
There we go. I'll make this quick, and I guess we have a lot of other things on the agenda tonight, but we had about 50 attendees last Wednesday evening. Part of the goal of these open houses is to get some data for you, so we can bring that to you. So we had exit surveys that we gave to all attendees who came through. And some common themes from the first open house collected exit surveys were that they really liked the ability to speak to you all, interact with the team too, and ask questions. They liked our posters. We had some nice visuals there. And then to see and understand the design concept better. The questions and concerned common ones were funding, relocation of the courts, costs to use, and the time frame if we proceed. We have two more engagement open house or opportunities for your public engagement. We have open house this week. Hope to see you all there again. I'll have more pizza for you and force you to eat. And then we will be having a town hall again back at the Y in the gym on February 28th at 7 p.m. Some of this data that we are getting from these two open houses will also be used to help shape the town hall, give us more data. So you'll see the pie chart. This is of the 31 surveys that were collected from attendees. The vast majority was the build it already. And approximately 81% scored it a 7 or higher on their enthusiasm for the project. But even on some of those surveys, they still have questions about funding and that type of stuff. So we will collect more of these exit surveys at this next open house this week, which we would love to see you all at. And then per your direction, we can provide some form to share that data with you if you'd like it in an Excel spreadsheet, something like that. It's totally your call. And if you have any questions too, I can try and answer.
Well, you promised a cute infographic, and
I did. I made you a pie chart.
All right, Councilman Holloway, Councilmember Cotton, any questions?
No, none for me.
She has her hand up.
She does? Oh, great. Councilmember Cotton.
Sorry if there's a dog barking in the background. Just questions, because we have been getting so many negative emails to the council members. Like it seemed like 90% of at least what I had received were negative with the things you had covered, as well as um, traffic flow, parking. And one of the negatives was actually from the current Mount Si High School dive coach. And so I was wondering if I have been forwarding the emails to our city clerk. And so if everyone, such as the mayor and city administrator and such had a chance to be able to review those as well.
Yeah, I mean, whenever, a lot of times if they just send to council members, then we don't receive a copy. So if we forward them, then we do review those. And I know that we're working on different things to address the parking and traffic. I believe that there's a study that's going to be done for both of those. And the dive coach, you know, there's just not going to be a diving board yet, whether at all. So it's a huge liability issue. You have to add a third tank for that. And so that's just a non-starter. I know there's diving boards at Bohm Pool, and that's where they usually go and practice. And there's such a small number of students that actually dive. So
Yeah, and hers was not necessarily about the diving part of it, which, you know, it was more the other concerns that she had regarding that. So I thought that one was kind of significant if it's coming from people involved with the swim and dive team type of a thing too. So just wanted to know. It sounds like it was overall positive with the last gathering, and so I'm hoping that some of the people that are choosing to email us are also going to turn out and express views too.
The Administrator Chambliss.
One other thing I'd like to note is we did extend an invitation to both swim coaches to meet with us during the design process. Invitation still stands to date. They have chosen not to. This is the first we've heard.
I've received the same emails that Councilmember Cotton has received. My guess is that all of the council has received them. And if you look at the emails that we've received, I'd say 90% negative is a low number. But you know, I think Councilmember Cotton is making a good observation that the polling that you get at a town hall at the Y is going to be different from the polling that you get from emails in your inbox. I think all of these are real populations of Snoqualmie citizens, and they all have to be taken into consideration. But yeah, it'd be great if we could get everybody. Actually, we don't necessarily. I'm not going to wish a melee or anything like that, but I think there are different formats in which people comment, and but the emails that I've gotten have been very detailed. I have heard that at this event, I was very sorry to have missed it. I heard that at this event there were comment cards that were filled out by people who came. How do I go about seeing all of those?
That's what I was wondering, per your direction, if you'd like us to compile like an Excel spreadsheet like we've been
I
doing.
would
for
very
comp
much
plan
appreciate that.
comments.
Yeah.
We can construct one for you following the next.
Or
open
even a
house.
PDF of the comment cards would be
Yeah.
great as well. You know, I don't want to pile you with copying or anything
No,
like
no.
that, but
No, that's fine.
but I would love to see those comments
Yeah.
because to Councilmember Cotton's point, I'm seeing the comments of the people who email, and that's a different group of folks. So
Yeah, there's definitely a Facebook effort towards getting those emails to you occurring
good.
in opposition and trying to stop the project.
Well, yeah, and as well, there should be emails from everybody, or people should be communicating to us however they can best communicate to us. It sounds like a lot of people at this event were able to communicate their thoughts, and I'd love to see them.
Definitely.
Yes.
We'll make a PDF of the cards we got tomorrow and send out to all the council members. And then we'll make another PDF with the next batch of cards, and send it out to all the council members.
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
We had some other comments compiled on comment sheets at various stations too. So we've got some good input and data for you.
Anything else, Councilman Holloway?
No, I think the only other comment, be aware that each channel of communication has its own bias. Email is, you get very few attaboy emails. You get quite a number of what were you thinking emails as a council member. So there's a bias in there. These kind of meetings, I don't think the bias is as strong, but you more get those who are supportive than those who aren't. Depending on how heated the subject has been. And I think you're kind of seeing this, and we as council just need to figure out the overall balance between all these things. When we said it was easy.
I don't know where you're getting all these attaboys. I'm not getting. So.
We'll keep trying to get you in.
There's a few that come through.
Madam Mayor.
But I would encourage, I think 5 of the council members were there. And so I'd encourage Councilor Benson, Councilor Cotton, if you can attend this Thursday would be great. And then also plan to attend that's where a lot of people will show up and there'll be a lot of discussion too. Thank you.
Yes, I did have a lot of people coming up and sharing their opinions with me, to which at this event I pointed to 5 of you and I said, that's who you should be talking to. And share your opinions with them. So, but these.
Again, I was very sorry to miss that.
You can come this week and we're doing more exit surveys. So we're trying our best to get you as much input as we can.
So tomorrow is Parks and Open Spaces at the library at 5. No, it's 6 to 7:30 tomorrow. And then Thursday
5 to
is
7
5 to 7 at
in the gymnasium at the community center.
the Y. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like my evening dance card is full this week.
Dinner there too. So.
You stop sharing, Dana.
Okay, my computer decided to restart, but I think you're up next, Mr. Fry.
Evening. One moment, let me start sharing my screen.
While he's getting up, did administration see the note from the email from Waste Management to council? Not controversial. I just want to it was around this subject. Just want to make sure you guys are in the loop as part of it. Okay.
Email from Waste Management or from a citizen about Waste Management?
I
One of
thought
those
there
as
was
well.
one from Waste Management. I'll go
Yeah,
look.
it came from Waste Management right after last Parks and Public Works Committee. So whenever
That one,
January
yes.
17th.
Okay,
It would have
you
been the
guys are
night of
still-
January 17th.
That was
Never
a
mind.
recent one.
No, it's just that one.
All right, well. Evening, Mayor, council members, anybody from the public. So I'm just coming back. We're gonna discuss what we were talking about last week, just further continue that discussion, as well as I have a bit of an update on it, and then hopefully get some guidance from you. But before I do begin on that, I want to just let you guys know that council is going to have time to input any sort of comment they have on the new contract. There's going to be a lot of time for review there, or at least some time for review and open discussion about changes to the contract. That's not tonight. So I'd like to avoid getting bogged down in the contract tonight if we can, and really just kind of focus on the topic at hand and then how to move forward. So anyways, I will try to jog your memory. Right now we're at a crossroads where we essentially have 2 options. Our current waste management contract ends May 31st of 2025. And option 1 is essentially to have a 1-year status quo contract. That's to essentially extend the contract. It's not an extension because it can't be called it, but it's a new contract, same terms, new rates. And what that 1-year status quo contract would allow for is a prolonged RFP process where we get to have open communication with haulers. We get to just do the whole kit and caboodle RFP process, as well as provide haulers 18 months mobilization time, which would allow them to staff up, purchase trucks, do whatever they need to do in order to get ready for Snoqualmie. Option 2 is say, let's just put it out to bid and let's just get bids and take the lowest price from the haulers. And the biggest caveat with that is that without that 18-month mobilization time, because we need to have a new contract start June 1st of 2025, so about 16 months, call it 14 months, we would not, or haulers would not theoretically have enough time to purchase new trucks if they needed new trucks to start working at Snoqualmie. It's not a requirement that we have new trucks. It's that if they just don't have a single spare truck and they need to bring them out to Snoqualmie, then they would need to purchase new trucks in theory in order to start working here. And so that's where we are today. We just need to, make that decision. And so I have a bit more to discuss from there, as well, provide some updates and pricing. But before we get into that, is there any questions just on where we stand right now and about these two options? Because this is about where we got to last week or 3 weeks ago.
You got something?
Go ahead. You had your hand up Friday.
Well, what do we, what are the potential downsides of, what are the potential upsides of Route 1 that we could lose if we went with Route 2?
So I have a pros and cons list coming up, so I'll get into that. I just want to make sure that, like, sorry, I don't need to.
No.
Question. I'll just suspect I'll answer it later.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, like, everybody kind of understands where we are, and just because this is broken up between 2 different meetings, I just want to make sure things get forgotten.
Okay, so that's that answer is coming.
It's coming.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a 1.5? That being, we do the extension because we need the time to do, if nothing else, to go out and do the bid and everything else.
Mhm.
But as part of that, we ask, what are the mobilization requirements from the different vendors? Whether it's 18 months or they just lost a contract somewhere else, so the equipment's here, they can start tomorrow. What is the time frame that they can pick up, and structure that 1-year extension such that it's we can get some give and take in there if we've got a vendor of reasonably priced who is readily available. They may be hungry for the work, so that we could do the switch within that 18-month period.
So I don't think Waste Management would probably be interested in signing a 1-year contract with this stipulation that we can cancel it at any moment. But I have talked to haulers to confirm that 18-month lead time is still an issue. And it is for one of the 4 haulers. So I'll touch on that later too.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you mean that of one of those 4 haulers for whom it is an issue, or it is only an issue for one of those 4 haulers?
It is only an issue for one of the 4 haulers.
Okay, all right.
And I'll explain that a little bit more down the line. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. All right, so here's the timeline. We looked at this last time around, but just a visualization of what we had just talked about. And now it's into the new slides. And before I get into there, so we've been having our ongoing discussions with Waste Management about that 1-year contract extension. Chiefly, what is the new rate going to be? Because that's the question of the hour. And this is what we came to. And so their proposed rate for that 1-year extension is, call it $51 for a 32-gallon cart. And we currently pay $33.44. So that would be a 52% increase for that 1-year contract, status quo contract. Now, that is a massive jump, huge, 52%, nothing to sneeze at. But local jurisdictions around us are paying about that. So what essentially that tells us is we are getting a really good deal because we had a really long contract without rate negotiations, and now we are facing those rate negotiation or those new rates because it's 2024. That's just the way of it. So essentially, there's that 52% increase. But meanwhile, Sammamish, they're paying $47. That checks their denser population, higher population. North Bend is paying $53, so a little bit more, and they have a worse level of service. Unincorporated King County, a little bit less, but also a lower level service with every other week collection rates. So that is, again, that is the rate that Waste Management proposed for their 1-year extension. And then that would buy us enough time to do the full 18-month or the full RFP process and 18-month mobilization period. And so now the question is essentially, do we want to go with option 1, accept these, these new rates, or go and then do the, the RFP process into the 18-month mobilization period, or option 2 of going, just put it out to bid, hope for the best. And breaking that down, pros and cons, just like everybody else, you break things out into pros and cons list. So option 1, the pros, theoretically, you get the most competitive rates from the haulers. That's because you're giving them all the time in the world to prepare. So they can theoretically get the best rates. You get the time for that RFP process, which includes industry review. So industry review is, giving the haulers time to really sink their teeth into the contract and think about any changes that they would want to make, or anything that's just out of whack that we slipped in there and they said, that's just not really an acceptable practice. Council, they get plenty of time to review and comment on it. And then RFPs are also nice because they consider both the rates as well as the qualifications of the bidder. So they're both weighted, so that you don't necessarily have to choose the lowest bid. You could choose the second lowest bid, assuming that their qualifications were better. And 52%, you just know that the 52% increase is coming in cost. It's nice to know, I guess. Cons, obviously a 52% 1-year increase in costs. Further, costs could increase by the end of the RFP process because we won't be getting those bids for another year until now. So that means costs could go up even further for that new 7-year contract in a year from now. That could go down. I'm not a forecaster. And then further, you would see 5 rate increases in 24 months, which is just a lot of rate increases for the public to see. Typically, you see 1 rate increase a year of just CPI and new King County rates. Option 2, pros. Currently, I'm seeing other jurisdictions get really good pricing. That's comparing it to last year. North Bend got their pricing last year, and prices have gone down. Just like a lot of the world that we're seeing, prices are starting to come back down from their peaks. This is a big one. We have talked to all 4 of the major players in the game. 3 of them said that they would be able to pick or bid on our project currently. So they say they have capacity, they have the trucks in order to bid on us. Again, this is just, conversations with them. It's not a guarantee that they will bid. But to me, it makes it a lot more of a feasible option to put it out to bid, hearing from at least 3 of the bidders saying, or 3 of the haulers out of 4, that they could theoretically bid on it. Another big pro, fewer rate increases. Another one, it's just a less drawn out process. We just rip the Band-Aid off and we get it over with, and rates are going to go up, and at least it only goes up one big jump this way. Cons for it, new hauler, you're choosing strictly based on rates, so that you can't look at qualifications. You have qualification requirements, but it's a pass fail in a bid, so you can't really factor it into the decision. You essentially just have to choose the lowest bidder. At least one of the 4 haulers said that they won't be able to bid. They don't have the capacity without that 18-month mobilization period. They wouldn't be able to theoretically bid and start work that June 1st of next year. There's no industry review. I'm having ongoing conversations with the haulers to make sure there's nothing totally out of whack in our contracts, but there's still just no industry review period, which is always good to have.
We still have you.
We still have me.
Yeah.
And our consultant, who's not on the line tonight, she's actually on a plane, which is why she's not on the line. But we've got her, and she's capable, but it's still always good to have more eyes look on it, especially the eyes of the people that are going to be bidding on it. And then also another big one, council would only have 1 month in order to make this work. Council would have 1 month to look at the contract, make any comments, review it, put your input, have those discussions, and then that's it. And that would be the month of March in order to make it work. So essentially those are the 2 options in summary. We don't need to go over them, but essentially from here, we should either be choosing option 1 or option 2. And that's essentially where we're at. And so, we're on a train, we're moving forward. I'm getting the new contract ready, and that contract is the same 7-year contract that whether we go to bid or whether we do the RFP process. But by the end of this month, we really need to, know whether or not we're going option 1 or 2.
Councilmember Watton, Councilman Holloway, anything?
Cotton.
Councilor Cotton.
So, I just said Otten, didn't I?
That's why I didn't answer. I thought you were talking to someone else. Well, certainly the lower number of rate increases for the community is ideal. But is that 1 month doable for staff and council is kind of my question.
I will say that staff has more than 1 month because I've been working on this for a couple months now. So there's that, but yeah, I'll let council answer for council.
Jeff's raising his hand.
Jeff is?
Yes,
I can't see him.
he's on.
Oh, is he online? Oh, Jeff or Mr.
Yeah.
Hamlin.
Hi. So yeah, a couple quick things. Yes. There will be enough time for council to review it. It's going to be quick. It's going to be a quick turnaround. These contracts are somewhat complex. There are a lot of terms in the contract. We have, Pat in particularly has been working through those terms. We are mostly trying to match the existing contract as it is, or at least stay with the same terms. But there will be some places where we feel like it's necessary to elevate some of the terms for you to review. And certainly we will make all of the terms available to you, but it's multiple pages of contract terms to be reviewed. So we will definitely flag those items which we think are most important and require your input. This is kind of an unusual situation. We initially thought option 1 was the preferred method because it would give more bidders time to prepare, and we would get industry input on these decisions and what we put in the terms of the contract. However, with the current situation, we know that some of the bidders have recently lost contracts so that they have extra trucks available. And so it looks like the bidding environment has suddenly become good for RFBs, for requests for bids, so that we think that we will likely get the same pricing if we do it now as opposed to doing it in a year. And it gives you the option of getting it done right now. That's really what it comes down to.
for the one bidder who said not interested due to lead time. Oh, any concern? I mean, was that the star performer in the market or just somewhere in the mix or?
Somewhere in the mix, kind of a new player in the game,
Okay,
honestly.
so we didn't shed a tear.
No,
because- Okay,
no,
And I'm sorry, were you done, Councilman Holly?
well, and I'm also partially concerned that the status quo contract is above the average we're seeing. And some of those are getting lower levels of service than we currently get. North Bend and King County are getting lower levels of service because they have every other week on some collections. But yet, again, what they're proposing is above average, rate wise. So I'm a little concerned now. Trying to behave myself.
Do we feel confident that we would receive bids from those other three?
they've expressed as much.
Okay. Alright.
That's, there's no guarantee.
Councilmember Otten? All right,
She's just laughing, but she's still on mute.
okay. All right, go ahead.
I'm curious of the conversation now. Am I interpreting right that administration is kind of shifting to say, let's go do this? Because you weren't there weeks ago.
Yeah, I would say that our opinion we're definitely pro option one a few weeks ago. And after discussions, after getting the 52% rate increase, which is significant, but it is about in line with what we would expect. Where it's not totally fair to compare it to unincorporated King County, just because we get higher levels of service. And Sammamish is just a denser, higher population, so you would expect them to get a little bit better rates. But it is in line with them, right? It's in the right ballpark.
Right.
So it's close to what we were expecting. But what I wasn't expecting was the discussion with haulers to go, pricing is good right now. Other jurisdictions are seeing lower pricing than they were a year ago. And B, 3 of the 4 haulers saying, actually, we do have capacity to take this at the moment. The at the moment is a big asterisk because
Yeah, once capacity is gone, it's gone.
Yep.
And they're gonna actively try to fill.
they're active. I'm sure they're actively applying for every single contract that's out there. So
Kind of seems like a strike while the iron's hot, kind of.
it's that when going with the status quo gives us the obvious, or everybody, there's no reason that any provider wouldn't bid on us unless they said we don't want any more business. But they don't need trucks on hand because they can order more if they want. I would say our opinion is saying actually option 2 is a good idea. Strike while the iron is hot, is like you're saying. But it still is not the sure thing that option 1 is, in the sense that, I don't see any reason why 4 of 4 haulers wouldn't bid for option 1.
One of the things when we were talking about and I know you don't want to get bogged down in the contract, which is totally fair, but one of the senses that I got when we were talking about the contract before was that we have a tendency to push for best possible services and expectations of new trucks and that sort of thing. And I just want to make sure, it seems to me like we need to be as friendly in these negotiations as we possibly can in our expectations of the haulers. We don't need our garbage ferried around in limousines. We just need it gone. So it seemed like, and this is my first round of this, it seemed like some of the contracts in the past have required them to have new trucks to start a contract, and I'm hoping that we can adjust that and make it as friendly to the bidders as possible to get the best possible rate. 52%, I mean, the only upside I see of this is that people will stop complaining about tax increases because they'll have something new to scream about, because this is a huge increase in rates. Justified or not, it's a huge increase in rates.
Yeah, so I guess we will, we will have time to go over the contract. So minor details, obviously then, but I am absolutely right now focused on ensuring that our contract is as appealing to haulers as possible without lowering our levels of service. Is really my main focus right now. And so that includes not requiring brandy new trucks. Some jurisdictions do require that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you have to have trucks. Trucks have a maximum, they can only be 10 years old is their max life. So we're not going to allow any trucks that are past 10 years old. Lifespan of trucks is 8 or 9 years. And then if they're past 10 years, they can be used as backup trucks. And really that's just ensuring that we don't end up with the dumping ground of garbage trucks that break down on every corner. Haulers don't typically use trucks that are older than 8 or 9 years because that's their lifespan. They get beat, and they get a lot of miles. So
my only other comment, and you know what, this is when we talk about it, and anything else we need to know?
no,
Okay, then Councilmember Cotton, did you have anything else? I can't see you.
No, I'm leaning towards option 2 myself.
Yeah, it seems like if there's bidders, let's bid, Councilman Holloway, anything else? All right, thank you. Doggone it. What's the next thing on the list? Oh, yeah. City Administrator Chambliss.
So the goal was to get some direction, and whether that be go with option 1 or option 2, or come to the full council and get direction from the full council to go for 1 or 2. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Is that a decision that we can make as just a committee, or does that need to be a full council discussion?
Technically, 3 council members cannot make a decision for the
Yeah.
council.
Yeah, so
It's probably a full council discussion.
Okay, so prepare for next council meeting,
So Monday.
and we'll recommend option 2.
is that enough time to bring this forward to, you have enough time to bring this forward to council on Monday, right?
sure.
That's what I'd like to see.
Cool, thank you.
My computer has the attention span of a gnat. Can you tell me what the next thing on our agenda is?
Capital Facilities and Utilities Comprehensive Plan Element.
Let's do that thing.
Good evening, council members. Today we have Planning Commission Chair Maruziak here to present the Planning Commission's recommendations for the draft goals and policies in the draft capital facilities and utilities element of the comprehensive plan.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure to be before the Parks and Public Works Council. I actually have contractors in the house, which is probably the 7th circle of Dante's Inferno. So sorry, I'm not there in person. But let me go ahead and share my screen. And similar to when I did the transportation element, I know you've got all the bullets of the 5 major policies. Let me just cue those up right now. But I thought it'd be good just to summarize the 5 major areas, so it'd be kind of easy to see, and pull out a couple of those bullets that I can highlight for discussion. And so that's what I've done here. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So number 1 is quality infrastructure for current and future residents, size to meet the long-term demands. I think that's obvious. Trunk utility facility locations. The trunk term means rather than spread them all over the place, you put them in a central location or central locations that they can best be serviced. Example of that would be if you did EV chargers, you got the approval to do 20 of them. You wouldn't want them scattered all over the place. You'd want them in a location. The third bullet I pulled out was underground electrical and communications where feasible. The second major vision and goal is continuity of public services. One of the big issues there is to provide high quality water and water use management. And that means we manage the use lower per capita than we're using now, and have a long-term plan to replace facilities as they age. Third issue, which is near and dear to everyone's heart, I'm sure, is long-term financial sustainability. Evaluate new and existing funding, pursue grants. And we always have to be cognizant of the school district 6-year capital facilities plan. We have a school district we can be quite proud of, and we certainly need to pay attention to that. The fourth issue, fourth goal is intra-city and regional coordination, agreements among jurisdictions such as North Bend or others, but it also includes the Snoqualmie tribe. And then the fifth is protection and preservation of existing city infrastructure. And a couple bullets I put out was to minimize the above ground structures and to maintain and upgrade the infrastructure with minimal service disruption. So these are top levels of all the detail that you have of the capital facilities and utilities element for the 2024 comprehensive plan. Any questions, comments?
No, that was very clear. Thank you. And Councilman Holloway?
I guess the only point I might throw in there is you kind of touched on it, but it's probably worth a bullet. It's cheaper to maintain than to replace.
Yes, yes.
Part of our comp plan ought to be that we are maintaining. It's not just that we're maintaining, but we're maintaining for fiscal responsibility in addition to keeping the service going.
No, that's a good point. We do have maintaining protection and preservation of existing city infrastructure, but it certainly bears highlighting the fact that replacement is far, far more expensive than maintenance. Yeah. Let me stop sharing here. Any other questions? Okay.
No, we're good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. What's next?
Next is the Transportation Comprehensive Plan element.
Let's go to that one.
Hello, I'm Ashley Ragg. I work in the Community Development Department. I don't believe I've met either of you before. But today I am just presenting that there are some updates to the goals and policies for the transportation element. We sent out the goals and policies to PSRC to get their preliminary review and comments before we send for a full submittal towards the end of the year. And something that they pointed out was that there needed to be more emphasis on multimodal forms of transportation. So if you look towards the bottom of the memo, staff developed 3 additional policies to help further that goal. That was the only major comment that they had.
Can you zoom in a little bit, please?
Yeah, of course.
And could you get me some more powerful glasses?
Don't get any worse.
Maybe if
than
I
this.
can
Less
bind
than
them, I
Coke
can
bottles.
Galileo this out.
So there were no edits to anything that we existingly proposed. There was just a request for some additionals. So these 3 that hopefully you can see underlined elaborate on that.
So multimodal, that's just, what are the modes? How multi is this modal?
So it'll be more like public transportation, bikes, walking, essentially most things outside of single occupancy vehicles. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Councilman Holloway, Councilman Cotton, anything? Well, we got you here. What's our worst mode?
Our worst mode.
Depends on what metric you measure.
I'm asking Ms. Rag.
What's an unfair question?
Is this a personal preference question?
Yeah,
Where do you see the biggest need?
I don't actually have the data graphics for that yet. Our consultant is putting those together. So far we've developed a lot of the language. We haven't reached a point where we've assembled a lot of the chapters yet. Yeah, an obvious one would be transit. There's a lack from the county. And then obviously the local transit tries to do as well as they can.
That's the one that I hear the most about, mostly because I play poker with a guy who needs transit and he complains about it every month. So,
Yeah.
Okay,
But if you were wanting specifics,
that's coming.
At a later date.
That's coming. Okay, all right, great. All right, thank you.
Yeah. I'm accepting this as moving the draft policies forward to council. Yes.
That seems like the next step. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
just confirming.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Bring it on forward. Ms. Dean.
Next up is asset management implementation.
That's what I was going to say. Asset management implementation.
Jeff, do you want me to take this one for you or you got it?
Oh, I got it. I apologize, I'm not there today, guys. I got a bad cold, so you can hear me croaking into the microphone here. We have been making good progress on asset management. As far as at this point, we are still building our system. There's a lot of effort that goes into figuring out what assets we have and then applying different asset categories, asset codes, and just a data which goes along with it that we use to query that data so that we can use the system. Well, because we are starting from scratch, we have none of that prepared. So we are currently in the process of building our whole asset management system. We have a good process. It's been fairly effective. This is, I think, largely due to some good advice from our city administrator, Chambliss, who's been through this before and has marshaled us in I think, a very effective manner towards gathering up this information. We're ahead on that. And we are working through sessions with Tyler, the asset management company, to build this system. So we are currently right on track, on schedule, and we are within our budget. So it's all moving ahead very effectively.
Mr. Hamlin, I wonder, could you just give me a brief overview? What are the categories of the assets that you're looking at? Like, so we have a lot of assets. What do you have them categorized into groups or?
Yeah. We categorize them by division. So for public works, we have, let's say, the parks division, we have the water division, the wastewater division, we have the urban forestry and stormwater division, we have the fleets division, and we have the facilities division. Or actually, fleets and facilities are the same division, but we have them broken out separately because our fleets group uses a different type of software, which we will integrate with the Tyler system. So those are the major categories.
For example, I'll share a screen here. So this is just one of the worksheets that staff have been working on. This particular one is for part of the water system. And so they have to provide the description, manufacturer, size, model numbers, serial numbers, vendors, phone numbers, etc. So all the information's there, so that when the flow conditioner, the VORTAB flow conditioner at the south well pump station breaks and we create a work order to fix it, all that information automatically fills in on the work order. So the person tasked with fixing it knows where to get those parts from, etc. And we will have this detailed down to the point where the person in the field will have the manual right there as a PDF in their computer. So that there's no running around looking for anything. It's all there. And so I appreciate the compliment, Jeff, but you guys are doing the work. I know how much work it is, and I pointed you in the right direction, and the guys are really, really the ones with their shoulder against the rock, and they're doing a heck of a job.
Well, we've got a great Parks and Public Works division. That's, yeah. Is there a corresponding liabilities page? Or at what point does an asset become a liability? Or do we just never allow them to get to that point? So if our Voltron pump can no longer form a complete Megazord, what happens?
So when you start with the program, no. But over time, as you work on these things, there is a predictive maintenance component, some AI built into the software, where after 5 years, that will start to kick in. And you'll know that, that Vortab pump, it goes out every 4 years and 10 months. So we're going to go ahead and put that in as a replace of 4 years and 6 months.
And that's the
So we don't have
management
it now.
part of the asset management.
Correct.
Got it.
There, there's also the ability for the users to put in maintenance intervals on things. So, for instance, if we know that we need to check something after a certain amount of hours of running or after a certain time duration, we can just program that into it so that it sends an alarm or a notification to the users that some particular maintenance needs to happen.
So to Councilman Holloway and Mr. Maruziak's point, maintenance is the best way to handle it rather than replacement.
Correct.
It is certainly is.
One of my favorite features about the software is that on critical tasks, a checklist can be presented as part of the work order, and the employee needs to check off that each step of that critical task happened. So there's no, oh, I forgot to grease that bearing, or I didn't do that part, and then we have to go back and redo it. So the managers will be identifying those tasks that reach that level. Not everything will have that checklist, just those really important things.
And will you have the ability to insert new checklists for things that don't have checklists that you generate checklists for?
Correct. The entire program's 100% customizable. And that's what Jeff was talking about. We are customizing it right now.
Okay, great. Councilman Holloway, you had something that you wanted to say.
Okay, maybe it's a non-concern, but help me. I heard categorization by department. So if I have a snowplow attachment, one in parks and one in public works, are they categorized differently?
Snowplow attachments are all
in fleet.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned categorizing by department often ends with your stovepiping things, and you start to lose that vision across where we've done things like fleet and we've done IT services, but there may be other things which may be of common use that we ought to look at.
And for each snowplow, it has an assigned division, and then you can assign it to another division, and then you can put it under this category, and you can have 5 different categories it's under. So they can always grab that thing depending on whatever direction you're going to search for it.
So this system doesn't do anything to keep departments from working together to pool resources?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And there's only one department. It's by division is how.
Divisions, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Categorize things.
Okay. Councilmember Cotton, any questions or comments? I'm going to take that as a no.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Is that nothing else? Okay. It was at the end of our. Okay. Well, then I'll entertain a moment to adjourn. Or a motion?
Moment to adjourn.
I'll entertain a moment
So
for you to
moved.
make a
So
motion.
momented.
You know what? Shut up. All right. Is there a second?
I'll second the moment.
Okay, then I will third it. Thank you, you smart Alex. Golly. All right. We are adjourned.
All right, thank you.